World Cup soccer comes to Rochester Monday, March 23rd at 7 p.m. Don't miss Mauricio Sales and the Brazilian indoor national team versus Russia. Premium tickets $15. Call 872-KICK or rlancers.com.
Live from the Rochester Sports Network studios in Rochester, New York, it's your Rochester Sports Show, Rochester Sports Mumblings.
Yeah!
Presented by Salvatore's Old Fashioned Pizzeria and the Rochester Razor Sharks with your hosts, Matt Goldman and John Cargill, and the Rochester Lancers goalkeeper, the American Dream, Mark Sotilli.
Yeah.
Here's your host, Matt Goldman.
Oh, thank you. By
That's
far, the most
the best.
famous and the best intro we have ever had. Thank you to SoccerSam.
Awesome. Welcome to the
Thank
show,
you so
Sam.
much. That was the best introduction we've ever had. Also, the first person who's also on a billboard to
You're right.
do our introduction.
Yes.
You're right. You're right.
Thanks for having me. I didn't know she was
That's very cool. Oh, okay. Welcome to another exciting episode of Rock Sports Mumblings. Wow, do we have a jam-packed show for you tonight.
What a week. What a week.
I know, amazing week of Rochester sports. We're going to get to all of it. In studio, we have the owner of the Rochester Lancers, also, of course, owner of Salvatore's Pizza and Arthur Treacher's and the Garage Door and the country of Ukraine and a bunch of other stuff.
Don't us the light. Don't us the light.
I don't know if you knew about the Ukraine part.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Also, we are going to have Dr. Sev Herniak joining us once again. He is the owner of the Rochester Razor Sharks. We're going to hear from him about all the PBL stuff that's going on, some weird stuff going on that week with the PBL.
Yeah.
Sam, I don't know if you heard about that.
Oh, you gotta tell me.
Okay, the league decided to cut their season short after some teams played 8 games, some teams played 16 games, some teams played 12, 14. They decided to just end the regular season. Originally, every team was supposed to play 20, just like the MASL. Financial problems, they voted to cut the season short, going straight to a championship series. Rochester Razor Sharks are going to face off against, tip-off against the Lake Michigan Admirals, who won the Midwest Division. Game 1 coming up this Saturday, 6:06 p.m. From St. Joe's, Michigan. Game 2, Saturday, March 28th, 1 p.m. at the Blue Cross Arena at the War Memorial. And then Game 3, if necessary, Monday, March 30th. Also, they have some great promotions coming up for that Game 2 of the playoff series. They have 3 WWE former superstars.
Ooh. Like who? Come on, tell me.
You know what? Dr. Seb, we're going to have to wait for Dr. Seb to tell us.
All right.
'Cause I don't know the names. But he knows.
I know
right?
him, but I'm going to let Dr. Seb say.
You know him.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And not only that, the beautiful Morgan twins, who were on American Idol,
yes.
they are going to be at the Blue Cross Arena.
Sounds like the place to
before
be.
that game.
Wait, didn't they sing before our game?
Yes.
Did they?
Yeah.
They must have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're going to be there, and also Dr. Seb's going to drop a bombshell. Another special guest may be at that Razor Shark game, so you guys want to be
Awesome.
there. Tickets just $5 for this
Best deal in
playoff
can't go wrong.
basketball. Last year's championship series was awesome. The Razor Sharks played the Indianapolis Diesels. It went 3 games, 3 close games. It was an excellent series. Not only this, Lake Michigan has the tallest professional athlete in the world. Okay, this guy's name is
7'8".
Bob Wagner,
Big Bob.
7'8", and he plays for Lake Michigan.
I gotta hurry. They gotta clean my gutters.
He's going to be playing at the Blue Cross Arena with Lake Michigan. I found this article was from the Daily Mail, which is a British tabloid. They had an article on him in November that he's the tallest pro athlete in the world that they can find, which is really cool. And he's going to be in Rochester.
Wait, you're going to tell me there's no NBA player that's that tall?
No.
7'8".
7'8".
Yeah,
That's pretty tall.
That's really tall.
That would go through the
Yeah.
ceiling right here.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yao Ming is 7'6".
Yao Ming doesn't play anymore, does
Well,
he?
I'm saying, but he was 7'6",
okay, he was
and he was
7'6".
the tallest before that.
He's still
I think-
alive, though, right?
How
he's
big
still
was
alive.
Manute Bol? Wasn't it?
Okay, Manute Bol.
Manute Bol,
I
wasn't
think
he
was
like
7'10".
7'7"?
No, I think he was 7'10". Look it up. Look it up.
Bol.
But I think he might have been 7'10". And years ago, the Indianapolis Ice of the
Oh, yeah. That's right.
they were in what league were they in? The IHL at that time?
It was the
It was
IHL,
the new IHL. They had a promotion where they had Manute Bol. They wanted to put skates on him. And
Just
have
like
him
I said,
go out on
7'7".
the ice and start the game. And apparently they tried. He was in the locker room before the game. His feet swelled up too much. He was too uncomfortable. and like they got like size 23 skates, like specially made. So he never made it
These
out
do
on
not
the
fit
ice.
properly. They hurt my foot.
This promotion, they drew like 17,000 people for this game because everyone wanted to see it, right? He never made it to the ice. He was on the bench for the first period, then he went somewhere else.
Manute Bowles 7'7".
Oh, 7'7". All right, so this Bob Wagner guy is.
However, I do think this other guy, Sun Ming Ling, who played in the
What?
The ABA when the
Oh, okay.
Rochester was in it.
Okay, the ABA.
7'9".
7'9".
Yep.
Wow. Okay. It is some tall people.
I can't wait to see this guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with that
this
game.
guy's gonna be great. Yeah, absolutely. Man, so much going on. We got to talk soccer, obviously. Mark Sottile, SoccerSam. You guys were in Baltimore Wednesday after just the unbelievable weekend. Culminating in Syracuse. Man, was that fun! I was there. That was an amazing time. What a game though in Baltimore. Man, you guys played them better than you've ever played by far.
Definitely.
Doug Miller had an amazing game plan, man-to-man. It worked very well. But kind of a questionable referee call. It happens. But we had our chances. We could have tied it at the end. We could have done a three-pointer at the end. I think if we would have won that game, we would have won the championship. But, hey, Baltimore is moving on, and I love that organization.
Hold on, Sammy. The head referee was Joe Della Penna. You didn't give him some pasta before the game?
I tried to hook up Joe. I had a little brown bag. You wouldn't take it. But
yeah. Man, that was a great game. I watched most of it.
I unfortunately missed
it.
it.
Just one goal. Just one goal. That's all we would have needed.
I mean, Steve Basso had a chance near the end. Yakel had a one-on-one, kind of went wide. Pupu Perez. And we had a lot of chances there.
We had our opportunities, like you said, we played really well, and you can see the difference between the beginning of the year and the end of the year. I thought we put everything together, and, you could show on the field. But unfortunately, bad calls, and we didn't finish our chances, and that's what cost us the game.
So, and then we had the MASL playoffs continuing this week, and just a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Oh, my goodness.
Culminating in a violent
vicious,
headbutt.
brutal headbutt.
This was last night, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the Missouri.
Missouri. It was a Baltimore game. Yeah.
We'll have to we'll post that to the Facebook page. The link to it.
John, what happened?
Okay, well, I'll just walk through it.
Do we have the video?
Yeah, I have it.
If we
here.
had the video, hook it up to here so we can play the
game
audio.
two. I mean, game one, Baltimore hosted and beat Missouri. Missouri was undefeated at that point in time. And I'll tell you, the difference between Baltimore and Missouri is Baltimore got to play teams like us, Rochester and Syracuse, and kind of getting them ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Missouri is playing former PSL teams, and I think that was a difference. They weren't used to the faster, more physical game. It's been a while.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. They did have to play us, Syracuse, and obviously see what happened to us. When we played against them, they struggled and had to, really put their A game on. So I don't think Missouri's had that yet.
All right, yeah, let's try to play this. John, go.
All right, well, basically, this is
play
after the game, too, by the way.
Okay.
So this is not during gameplay like I had originally thought, but it looks like it's at the post-game handshakes, and the player, number 16, walks up to him, grabs him from the side, almost behind, and pulls him towards his head and headbutts him right above the eye. And looks like it's a total surprise to everybody.
It's
so
also
happened in the handshake line.
Yeah, that's also Pat Healy, the captain of the Baltimore Blast, that got headbutted.
And this was Andre Brathwaite.
Brathwaite, I believe.
Brathwaite.
Yeah.
Headbutted him?
First-year player, headbutted him. Healy goes down, passed out. It was a bad headbutt.
Yeah, a bloody gash that looked like
it was a pretty jagged, almost an L shape, and it was. I think it took 5 stitches.
Wow.
Yeah. But so after the game, the kid gets arrested.
Are you serious?
He gets arrested.
Oh no!
And the Missouri Comets fired him instantly.
Oh my God!
They just fired him off the team because they couldn't believe he did that. The whole team was in shock. There was no need for it. It's one thing if it happens in the course of play.
Yeah.
Somebody hits you against the boards, you get mad, you don't have the guts to punch them, so you headbutt them.
Yeah, that's what I thought happened.
Yeah, but no, this is like handshakes. Just snuck him kind of from behind.
It was basically from behind. He was not expecting. He was talking to another player, and then next thing you know, there was, contact to the head, and it was pretty bad.
Does anyone know why, though?
It was a heated game near the end of the game. Got a little heated. I think the bottom line is Missouri wasn't used to being embarrassed like that. Baltimore controlled the whole game. Missouri did have their chances, Mark. I think 3 or 4 chances. They blew them.
Oh, yeah.
And they blame the referees, but it was just Baltimore was just the better game.
Yeah,
team.
I think, like I said, Missouri had some chances. I mean, Baltimore just came out better. They played better. Unfortunately, Missouri had a lot of games in like 4 days, but,
And that's
It
definitely
happens.
something to discuss, and I really wanted to bring this up.
Uh-oh.
So Missouri, they beat, it was Milwaukee Thursday night, okay, in a tough game, close game. Then they're told they have to fly, that night?
They flew that night.
That night to Baltimore and play the next day.
That's tough.
In Baltimore, even though they're the higher seed. I know you're supposed to play game 1 on the road because you want game 2 and 3 at home, but that travel is tough. Baltimore had already been home since Wednesday. It's an extra day, and they didn't have to travel. So, of course, they lose. In Baltimore, they're fatigued, right? And then, that sets the standard for the whole series, and they end up losing the series.
Well, I mean, but Baltimore played us on Wednesday. Missouri had a game on Thursday. It was like a day difference. The travel, let's face it, you guys travel. I mean, you're on a plane for 2 hours. It's not like you're traveling with a rowboat.
We're not professional athletes.
Yeah,
That's the difference. I mean, you got to think for them. It makes a big difference.
But Missouri wanted to have host game 2, so that's their choice. But if you talk to Doug Miller, some of the guys have been around for a long time. Back in the day, these guys would play 3 games back to back, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was a 40-game season. They did it all the time. It was not a big deal. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's why Missouri lost both games. I think Missouri lost both games because they weren't prepared for the speed of play of Baltimore. They've been playing a lot of former PASL teams. It's a different style of play. It's laid back. It's a little slower. And, Baltimore's used to playing against Rochester and Syracuse where it's guns to the wall, man. You just make things, you're rocking and rolling. You're hitting hard. You're playing hard. It's just a different game.
Ed Hale said it perfectly, and I'm not going to use his foul language that he used, but he said the only reason why Missouri was 20-0 is because they didn't play us.
Yeah.
And I have to agree. Like I said, Baltimore's
So Missouri and Baltimore didn't face each other in the regular season.
No. And Baltimore's a class team. I mean, Missouri's a great team. Don't get me wrong, but I think Baltimore just outplayed them either way. I mean, it's easy to play a team like Missouri when I think we could have beat Missouri. If we played them when we played Baltimore. But it's easy to play a team like that when they haven't played the quality that Baltimore's played, which is us, Syracuse, and whoever.
Detroit. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
different style of play.
So, I mean, and then, of course, in the West, Monterey sweeping past Vegas. Feel bad for Dominic Cicluna.
Me too.
Kind of rooting for
Yeah,
him,
I don't like that guy.
I think we all were.
Man, those Mexicans, they can play down there.
Yeah, they
play
absolutely
Look, and the
very
atmosphere
well.
in the arena down there, man.
It's pretty cool.
That's
right?
pretty cool.
I know they have a huge pyro show before every game down there.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool. I want to see the Lancers play in Monterey
I-
next year. That would be so
Yes.
cool. A road trip to like Dallas, Monterey, Rancho Seco.
Next year,
like
next
that.
year it's going to happen. I think next year is going to be a lot more play, across divisions and stuff. I mean, Monterey, they've been together a real long time. They have a great coach, and that's the difference there. They have a great fan base. But I think Baltimore is going to sweep Monterey. I think Baltimore is going to destroy Monterey Friday night in Baltimore.
Now, the one thing though, you said, they used to play 3 games in 3 days back in the day, but just in the regular season, teams were not used to playing that, and then it seems unfair, at least to me, in the playoffs. Now you all of a sudden have to play 4 games in 5 nights. That's a lot, right? So why couldn't the league just spread out the playoffs?
Dates. There's
Yeah,
no
I'll
arenas.
say,
That's the problem. There's no arena dates.
There's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, and like you guys talked about this before, I think a month ago, MLS did it right. They eventually own their own arenas, their own stadiums, and they control their own dates. Indoor soccer right now in America does not have that, and we struggle with that. Like, we wouldn't have had a home date for our playoffs. It would have been a challenge. We might have been playing at the Sports Garden. Like, people like in Vegas, they had to play at a secondary arena because they couldn't get dates
For the playoffs?
for the playoffs.
Well, Matt,
Really?
you got to look
Wow.
at what's going on. I mean, we're getting into March Madness. We're getting into there's a lot of things going on in these arenas. It makes perfect sense. There's so much going on that dates are just hard to come by. Yeah, all right, Mark?
Down.
Got an injury here.
After the season.
We have no workman's comp.
Right.
I already signed my pass.
Oh. So Sam, what's the future of this league looking like? What are your tell us what do you think? How did it go? Because I know you were pretty skeptical, right?
Yeah.
At first.
I was skeptical. You say it.
Skeptical.
There you go. About a bunch of things, but I think it overall worked out well. 22 teams ended the season. Only one team left the league. I was disappointed when the one team left. It happens, but if you look at some of the other minor leagues in America and the NBA, the NFL, and the NHL when they first started in the '60s, I mean, we're way advanced. We're way above that. All the games are on Go Live Sports. I mean, it's like, a lot of these teams have broadcast, radio broadcast. Attendance was huge in a lot of arenas. So we're ahead of it. What I think could happen next year, I think a lot of AHL, American Hockey League teams, AHL, are going to be joining this league.
That'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
You probably know what's going on with the AHL. Like a lot of teams.
The Western expansion.
Yeah, and the Western teams want to have their affiliate closer to them.
Yes.
So a lot of teams on the East Coast and stuff are going to be losing their affiliation.
Yes.
Well, those teams right now are looking to join our league.
Yeah.
Manchester just lost an AHL team.
Manchester would be a
Adirondack
good
just
city
lost their AHL
to put a team
Norfolk
in.
just lost their AHL team.
Yeah, Utica in a couple years may.
Yeah, they're looking, which is a shame because they sell out almost every game.
But they sell out
great.
Not very many
I know it's only
seats.
3,800 seats,
Yeah.
but still, it's a great atmosphere there in Utica.
It's great. So I mean, I think it's going to help our league. I see our league next year probably be like 24 teams, but a few will leave and go to like this lower division, like the PSL probably have a second division. In the A division, the top division, it'll probably be 24 teams, but we'll have a lot of new teams.
Now, one thing I've been seeing a lot of is a lot of the PSL fans are, they're not liking our point system.
Yeah.
And I really thought that if more people were exposed to it, they'd like it. And I don't know I think I know how you feel about it. I think they should just try it in more venues. So more teams are exposed to it.
I mean, Tommy Tanner and I fought hard to keep it going so they would be exposed to it. I think Ontario came to Rochester and loved it. I think that game where we won with the header, the 3-pointer.
Yeah.
I think that was great, but I think it hurt our whole case a little bit because I mean, two teams score a goal each and somebody wins.
On a goofball goal.
So, but I think next year it's probably going to be a 1-point situation.
Yeah.
But if you watch the games last night, the Baltimore game in Missouri, guys weren't shooting from outside. So that's what changed the game. It just changed the dynamic of the game, just like in NBA. If the guys aren't shooting, everybody's like underneath the basket doing their thing. So in our case, we're going to do an incentive to give the players maybe a bonus if they do shoot from outside the arc.
Awesome.
So it keeps the game going. But I think a lot of those guys are just purists, man. And purists think that it's a 1-point game. It's a pure game. But indoor soccer is a totally different sport, but they don't get it.
I agree with you.
Well, it was just like Chicago when they played against who they just play.
Milwaukee.
Was it Milwaukee? Yeah,
Yeah,
Milwaukee.
the playoffs, yeah.
Everton hit the 3-pointer from the yellow line. Guys with the 1-pointers aren't even going to attempt that.
Right. There's no point.
And you can see what a guy like Everton can do from the 3-point. I mean, hit it like a cracker. Upper corner is probably one of the best shots that I've seen all year. And he's not going to hit that shot if it's not a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
To me, I'm kind of disappointed to hear that it's probably not going to.
I'm very disappointed because I think it adds, and plus us Lancer fans are used to it.
Right.
We're used to it. But the thing is, I think these purists, you go on the message board and people are knocking it before ever even seeing a game. The excitement of seeing that 3-point shot hit. I mean, it's
just not that. It's just changed the way your defense is. Your defenders overlap better. It just changed the game. Here's the situation. I wish they have every team vote, but your vote should be based on your attendance. And if you're drawing 400 fans a game, your vote should mean should have 1%.
Kind of like an electoral college type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what upsets me is that teams that are the most vocal have the least fans in their building, the least media attention. They don't have shows like this, and they're the ones the most vocal. Well, let the teams that are drawing 5, 6, 8,000 fans a game, let them vote. And if Monterey says we want a multi-point scoring, then in Baltimore, in Missouri, in Milwaukee, teams that are drawing legitimately 5,000 plus fans a game, then you kind of like maybe let's vote on this thing the right way.
Would Monterey want MPS? Do you think?
Monterey used to play multi-point scoring, and let me tell you. All right, I haven't said this anywhere. I don't think publicly.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you publicly.
Excellent.
We had a league meeting in Baltimore. Ed Hale spoke. Kevin Healy spoke from Baltimore. Tommy Tanner had an emotional speech. He had all the statistics on why multi-point scoring works, what it did to cities that got rid of it. Like back in the day when they went from multi-point to single point, a lot of teams folded. So he had all this information. And I get up there and I talk about how it changed the game. So we had basically a vote at that point in time. And at that point in time, everybody but two teams, Dominic from Detroit, Dominic Schoon, which I respect, was against it, and one other team, the San Diego Sockers. That was it. Everybody else wanted to give this a shot. So we sign our lives away to this new contract, MASL. We join this league, thinking it's going to be multi-point scoring because everyone just agreed on it.
Sure.
2 weeks later, they have this other fictitious, mysterious vote, and everybody that said they were for it was against it.
Huh.
So Tommy Tanner and I and Ed Hale said, no, this is wrong. We voted on this. We agreed on this. All the groups got together and said, hey, guys like the guys in Vegas said, look, you guys, we're drawing 400 fans a game. If you guys are drawing 5,000 plus a game, we're going to do whatever you do. If you think this is going to help us, we're going to do it. So everybody was on board. So that's what set me off. It's like, man, what am I getting myself into? They're going to change the rules as we go along.
Yeah,
that would make sense to not.
It kind of shed some light on everything that happened back in August.
Yeah. I mean, that was part of the business side of it. But I mean, because honestly, we could have had 6 teams in the league and still had 10 home games. We would have played, Milwaukee and St. Louis and Missouri. I mean, it wouldn't have, we were there to help them grow their league, convert the PSL to become a major league sport, and it ended up working out. But this controversy, these guys are worried about the wrong things. Instead of worrying about multi-point scoring, single-point scoring, worry about why your arena doesn't have 4,000 fans or 3,000 fans a game.
Do you think that that there's going to end up being another split, possibly?
I don't think so. I think we all see the positive this year. If you saw, I think 14,000 people watched the game last night on the internet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
wow.
That is a lot.
People are into this, man. So we got to keep this thing going. We got to work out the little things. I think indoor soccer should be played with multi-point scoring, but that's just one person. Tommy Tanner thinks that, and Ed Hale thinks that. There's just 3 of us. We got to get the rest of the guys to come aboard.
Now, what about some other things like 20-game schedule is somewhat short compared to what used to be played in the old NASL, right? Is there any chance of expanding that, and also of playing more teams? Because you guys played Syracuse 6 times, and that was a great rivalry, but that's a lot. And we could have seen other cities like Milwaukee or Missouri,
Las Vegas.
Right.
More Detroit.
I mean, I would have loved to see.
Well, I think
Milwaukee,
that
Missouri.
wasn't that because we didn't get in the league fast enough or whatever. We had a problem at first or something.
Because we got in the league late, but I think next year your closest rival you're going to play them twice, which in our case will be Syracuse, and then everybody else you play once. You'll pick.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
And I think that's going to happen. What was your other question? I'm sorry.
Oh, about extending the season, the length of the season.
Dates at the arenas. That's the problem. You extend the season. I mean, you think the most successful sports league in America is the NFL.
Yes.
And if you go back a few years, I mean what we need to do have 10 games. All the teams should play the same night. If we could eventually say, okay, Saturday night is Lancer night, and every other week there's a game on a Saturday. And if Syracuse, if their home dates are Friday night, and it's every other week, if you look at the NHL back in the heyday and the NBA, and they all had their set nights, which fans got accustomed to going to. We need to create that. But I think 20 dates is enough for now, and maybe some exhibitions at the end of the year.
Now, talk about this Arena Soccer World Cup. This is exciting.
Oh, yeah, that's
a
exciting.
game being played in Rochester. Really, really cool. I'm very
Brazil?
excited. Brazil
Russia?
versus
Oh,
Russia,
man.
March 23rd. Blue Cross Arena, 7 p.m. Tickets just $15. Great deal to see some world-class soccer. Now, this thing got thrown together really, really quickly, right? I mean, I know you talked about it on your show back in September, I think, but personally, I was like, oh, this isn't going to happen because it's February and we haven't heard anything about it. All of a sudden, beginning of March, like, we got it together. Here we go. We're playing, right?
Yeah, well, we didn't have a date, and then finally that Monday opened up at the Blue Cross Arena. So we contacted the organizer and said, hey, if you guys want to play here, there's a date. So they were going to have a doubleheader in a different city with Brazil and Russia. So they decided to have one game here instead of having a doubleheader. And, Mauricio Salas being on the Brazilian team, Sagu, and a lot of great players are on the Brazilian team. So, it's a Monday night. It's a challenging night, 7 o'clock on a Monday night. But I think if we could sell 1,000 tickets, it's not part of our season ticket package. It's not part of our sponsorship season ticket package, which, the majority of our fan base is season tickets and sponsor season tickets. So it's going to probably be a challenge to sell more than 1,000 tickets. But if we could get 1,000 people in the building, I'd be really happy. And I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime event, a World Cup match played right here in Rochester.
I think you'll
that's
probably
great.
get more than 1,000. I think we'll do all right.
Plus the fact that, you have Brazil and soccer. People are going to hear that and go, Brazilian soccer players?
Listen, people
They're
just
gonna
need to
want
come
it.
out and support the Lancers. The Lancers, Mauricio Salas. That's what they need to do.
Doesn't
Doesn't matter who's playing who. Mauricio Salas is there. Come support him. Help him out so he can continue to do this. If they have it every year, every 4 years, whatever they do. But, we need to support that too, just like anything else.
Now,
Amen.
Is it going to be MASL rules? Is it the same kind of game?
It's single point rules. And there's a few little changes like the 6 foul rule and all that changes. It's international play. There's like 5 or different rules, but it's just going to be all out. You get boarding, subs on the fly and all that stuff. And I think it's going to be fantastic. These Russian guys, none of them speak any English.
Oh, really?
Their agent's name is Nikita.
Okay.
And we were talking. Via internet, I think it's a guy, and Rich Randall thinks it's a girl. So we don't know if Nikita's a guy or girl.
Oh, God.
But so he's like,
I mean, based on there's a lot of hockey players named Nikita.
Yeah, Nikita Khrushchev.
Zadorov plays for the Sabres. It's got to be a guy, I'm thinking.
I'm thinking too. So, but they're excited to be here, coming to America to play here. The Brazilian team, like I think 5 or 6 are from the MASL, and then the rest of the guys are coming from Brazil. But their coach is Tattoo. Before your time, one of the greatest indoor players of all time was this player called Tattoo. He's now the coach in Dallas. He kind of like back in the day to get 18,000 fans at an arena. He would take off his shirt and throw it into the crowd every time he scored a goal. He's the coach, the Brazilian superstar. Came to America when he was like 16 years old to try out for an outdoor team. Ended up becoming an indoor legend.
Wow. Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I've seen some of those old videos on YouTube. The Lancers post sometime of the NASL indoor back in the 70s, right? That's some cool stuff. I mean, those games were on CBS.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, and the arenas were completely sold
We're trying to
out.
bring the shorts back.
Yeah.
What do you think it would take to get back to that where it is on TV like that?
Well, I think what's it going to take to get the arenas full like that? I don't think it's ever going to happen again because back then there wasn't 65-inch TVs, there wasn't all kinds of stuff on your laptop.
All the other sports. I mean,
especially
in this town, there's so much competition.
We have so much entertainment.
There's so much going on, so that probably won't happen. But to get a TV contract, I think it could happen as early as next year. They're already talking to
sweet.
someone big, and I think they're going to have the game of the week on a pretty strong network.
Yeah, something like CBS Sports Network or.
That's
awesome. Something like that. That would be great.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Something like that.
I mean, they used to have the NLL Game of the Week on CBS Sports Network, and it was a shame when they stopped doing that because they came in with their HD professional cameras. They did a really nice job. It was like you're watching an NHL game.
Right.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool if we had that. Real quick, got to talk about. We have a brand new sponsor of the show. I'm very happy. Dr. Brown Eye Care. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being a sponsor.
Thank you. Welcome.
880 Long Pond Road. Listen. They just expanded their office. They tripled in size. I walked in there the other day. I've been going there for years. I walked in there the other day. I could not believe they took over an entire orthodontist office and made it into their new office. And they're rebuilding their old office, and they're going to tie it all together to just have this massive eye doctor office. Dr. Brown is wonderful. He's been doing this for almost 3 decades. He has seen absolutely everything. Anything you got going on with your eyes, go to him. They have such a great selection of glasses. I went there today. I picked out new glasses. I actually picked out those frames without the pads. Look, I thought I'd try something new. I saw you wear it all the time. I'm like, maybe I'll try this. It felt a little weird at first, but I'm like, all right, I think I can deal with this. And they look good. I like that kind of square look. So I got the SoccerSam style glasses
Nice.
in black though. I get my contacts there. They have the most advanced contact technology. There's all kinds of really cool new contacts you can get there. And also, they are your sports specialists for your eyewear. They have specialty sunglasses for skiing, baseball, softball, swimming, all kinds of sports. Also, specialty glasses. So if you're a young athlete, go over there. They have the best selection in town of those sport-specific glasses. Brand new office, extremely friendly staff. 880 Long Pond Road, conveniently right off of 390 off the Vintage Road exit. Give them a call, 227-7030. They accept all insurances, and tell them Rock Sports Mumblings sent you.
Awesome.
We are going to check in a little bit later with Matt Stathopoulos. He is a hockey reporter in town. He's going to tell us about the RAT Hockey Tigers swept Air Force 2-1 and 7-3 this weekend. They will be playing at the Blue Cross Arena this Friday night, 8:35 p.m. against Canisius. That is in the Atlantic Hockey semifinals. So that's very exciting. So we had the news coming out of the Dome Arena being sold, right? Which is very interesting. I know you got your ears must have perked when you saw that, right? You've been talking for a while about the Blue Cross Arena is just not economically feasible, and the dates are always a problem for you guys to continue playing there. And, of course, Dr. Seven, the Razor Sharks, have talked about that a lot, too, that there needs to be a secondary venue for teams like the Lancers and the Razor Sharks to play in. So how does the Dome Arena being sold play into any potential future of moving there?
Well, I mean, personally, I love the Blue Cross Arena. I just don't love the lease situation there and the structure that was set up years ago with other tenants. I think Michael Spalletta just purchased the property. When Dr. Seb was in the hunt of it, and I saw the blueprints, it was going to be state of the art, 6,000 to 7,000 seats. I thought that would be the place to go. Create a demand on a Friday night. You know, there's not going to be 3,000 or 4,000 empty seats, so you don't no last minute customers anymore. You have to buy your ticket in advance. So I love that idea. I think Spalletta and the Spalletta Group, who bought all the land around it, are going to develop it into apartments and townhouses and stuff, but are going to leave enough for parking for the Dome Arena. I think it could become an amazing secondary venue, and when and if it happens, we would love to at least look into it.
Now,
Awesome.
the thing that that bothers me a little bit is, like you said, it was going to be a 6,000 seat stadium. Now, what are they going to do with it? Because right now it's only 2,000 seats, right?
I think basically the blueprints that Dr. Sev had showed me, it was pretty simple on how to make it a 6,000 to 7,000 seat facility.
Well, kind of like what they did with the now the Marina Jeep Arena. I remember that was way smaller, and they increased it pretty easily. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if it's anything less than 6, we wouldn't be interested. But I would be strongly interested if it was 6, and we'd have to restructure our sponsor tickets and how we do our sponsor groups and our media buys. But I think if we could create it, just like the movie theaters. I went Friday night or Saturday night. My wife wanted to go to the movies. We go to the movie theater. Hey, you didn't buy your tickets 2 days ago. You can't get a seat. It's not like the old days. You walk in, the theater's half empty. There's a seat anywhere. So now you have to buy a movie ticket a couple days in advance if you want to go to one of those nicer theaters. I think it'd be the same thing here, where I think the Amherst suffer because of it, the Nighthawks suffer because of it, the Razor Sharks, because it's like, I'll get a ticket Friday. There's a lot of seats there, and then it's a snowstorm. You don't go.
Yeah.
And, when they renovated the arena at first back in '98, every Amherst game, every Friday night, there was like 9,000 people there. Every Nighthawk game, there was 9,000 people there. And I think that's natural. It's a fad, just like that happened with Frontier Field and the Rhinos. 13,000 people every night. The Red Wings were drawing 12,000 people every Friday night. And then, people get used to something, and then they say, all right, we'll do something else.
They take it for granted, more or less.
So I think it's natural. I mean, I don't know how you feel. I think from the standpoint of the city, I'm glad that they expanded the arena to be so big, to sit 10,500, because you can draw in big concerts, which is good for the economy. They have the Black Keys there, for example, and once in a while, there is a big sporting event. When RAT plays their Brick City Homecoming game every winter, they sell it out.
Well, the
10,500 seats.
the AHA championship too.
That doesn't draw very well, actually. I mean, I hope
it
it
could.
does.
It could, though.
I hope it does.
know?
You know what? I shouldn't speak so soon. I hope they draw 10,000 this Friday.
It
But
could.
traditionally, it hasn't. But the RAT, their Brick City Homecoming, because they sell tickets all summer for that, they always sell that out completely, and the arena looks great. When the Nighthawks host a championship game there, almost completely sold out. It's a shame it's not completely sold out. So I think there is a benefit in having a bigger arena than Syracuse or Utica, but it does hurt because you're right. People know they can just walk up.
Yeah. I think if you talk to some people that were around years ago, they'll tell you that one of the biggest mistakes was to make the Blue Cross Arena larger for the sports teams back, the Amherst especially. I think that hurt them more than helped them. Like for the reasons I just said. I mean, you just need to create a demand for a ticket.
So
sorry about that, but not to mention, I mean, 6,000 or 7,000 people is actually a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you put 6,000 or 7,000 people in that place, and it still looks empty, and that that's terrible for TV. I mean.
Yeah, because it looks empty when it's really not.
I mean, we go to Syracuse. I mean, when we play in Syracuse, I don't know how many people they have, but it's a small
6,200.
But it's a small venue, and they don't even have to fill it, and that place is so loud and so much energy still in there. I mean,
if Syracuse was Rochester, and I know that sounds weird, they would be demanding, or long ago they would have demanded a new arena. And I don't know if that's been happening, if Howard Dolgan has been trying to get the state to pay for a new arena there, but. Rochester, back in the 90s, was really getting on building these new venues. Blue Cross Arena, then Frontier Field, then Salem Stadium all happened within a span of like 7 years.
But look at the economic situation. People's minds have shifted from that, because now people are
right.
more. People are now.
Kind of a bubble.
We had so much expendable income. People were still working for Kodak. Now you have people who are just trying to pay their bills, so they're not as concerned about that.
Stuff. I mean, my question is, what's going to happen with the Amherst? I mean, think about it. The guy's a shrewd, smart businessman, right? Pelguda. You own 2 buildings in Buffalo. One being the First Niagara building, and then across the street you have a new state-of-the-art smaller venue for your practice facility. Why would you rent the Blue Cross Arena? Why would you travel your scouts and your players back and forth to Rochester? Why not control your own building in Buffalo, and on the off nights have your B team or your Amherst team?
Well,
that you're
Sam, that's
scouting?
been discussed. Actually, I don't know if you.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
sure
gonna
you
s-
probably heard, but
We've
yeah,
talked about
that's
that
something
same
that
thing.
Pagula, it was mentioned, was considering. And on behalf of the hockey fans of Rochester, and there's a lot of them, that would be tragic.
Yeah,
if the
and
Amerks ever
remember
moved out of
we
Buffalo.
had that same discussion because I said that. I said, I can see that happening, and you disagreed, but
I don't think
I'm
it'll
on-
ever happen because
I don't
think
I don't want it to
they're
happen.
they're making money off the Amerks. The ticket prices are really expensive now. It's $26, I think, for a ticket or something.
Close to $30, yeah,
Which
$28.
for AHL hockey in Rochester is really expensive. They're still averaging, close to 7,000 actual tickets sold, and so I think I know they're making money. They're making money here.
And
and
plus,
they
you got to
control the
remember,
concessions,
7,000
right?
people is more than a lot of AHL stadiums hold.
And I think right now they can't even sell out a Sabres game, so they're not going to be drawing much for an AHL
Well, that's the
game.
thing too. I mean, if you can watch the Sabres play,
Right.
why would you want to watch an AHL team play?
I mean, the only point is that if the Sabres ever got really good again and they sell out every game, then it could happen. But when the Amerks do, they already have the Amerks play one home game a year in Buffalo, and they draw 8,000, 10,000. It's not a sellout,
But I think it's a different type of fan base. It's more of a family fan base where it's a little less expensive. And will those 7,000 fans still travel to Buffalo if it's a state-of-the-art arena and the price is the same? And now, if you're the ownership group, you control the concessions. That's where the money's at. It's not the ticket price. It's the concessions. If they bring in 50, 60 grand in concessions, it's probably $40,000 profit. One night, boom, done. And if you own the building, you control the concessions and the parking. Why would you pay rent in deal with the Blue Cross Arena? It doesn't make any sense.
And that's kind of where I am.
I can't see the Amerks ever leaving.
That's because we don't want to see it, honestly.
But I honestly
But when
don't think whatever. This is such a strong hockey community. It's one of the best in the country. I mean, as far as a mid-sized city, not only for the AHL team, but for RIT hockey, for the youth hockey, the high school hockey. So many NHL players come out of here. Ryan Callahan and Brian Gianta and Steven
I'll say
Gianta
this. If they don't end up buying the Blue Cross Arena or getting the city to build them a new arena, I think they're out of here. Because it makes no business sense. I mean, why pay rent if an hour away you own a facility that you can make all this money? It makes absolutely no sense.
Well,
and I think those same fans, the diehards, will travel.
I think a few of them. But I think you'd also alienate most of the fan base. Now, that's a good point,
The thing
though.
is, they could build a new fan base.
Here's the thing, though. If the Pagulas go to the city and say, hey, we're going to pull out, do you think the city would just say, all right, we'll sell you the arena?
I think the city's, the leaders
because
right
you know
now,
how bad it would look for the
Yeah.
city
I
if they
think-
screwed it up and
that'd
lost
be
the Amerks.
pretty
You know what I
bad.
mean?
Yeah. I think the city leaders right now are really smart people. They're not going to let the Amerks leave if they could avoid it, or get them to buy the Blue Cross Arena or get them the land to build their own building. But I think something's happening behind closed doors that I think there's some whispers out there that something's going on.
Now, there was so it looks like the Lancers are going to be back at the Blue Cross Arena. I don't want to speak for you, but
We're trying to meet with Jeff Calkins to renew our lease for next year, but definitely we want to play in the Blue Cross Arena next year and maybe many years to come. But we're going to keep all options open in the future.
now another option, I know I asked you about it before, was the Gene Polistini Center, where the brand new arena for RAT Tigers.
That's
and
a
you
nice
said the problem
arena.
with that was they don't want to sell beer or something like that? Or?
Well, they only sell beer in their little closed out like a fan club kind of thing. I think the biggest issue there is parking, is convenient parking. I think the building is fantastic. The people that run it's fantastic, but the parking is somewhat of a pain. And when you talk to diehard RIT fans, they'll tell you that they're not happy with the parking situation. So yeah, you can get shuttle service. It's tough to do shuttles in the winter. I mean, if it was a different time of year, you could easily get giant golf carts and do shuttles
Yeah,
back
like
and forth.
the Rhinos were doing there for a while.
So, but
I remember that. I remember that when they had they bought them from Disney World, right? That was pretty cool. It's too bad that there's. What had they supposed to sold those, right?
No, I think they're still parked in the back.
Are they?
Yeah.
Man, it's a shame that there's no use for those anymore.
I was gonna say the difference between then and now.
I know,
with that
like the first 5
organization
years of the stadium,
sad.
Their crowds were big. I mean,
Huge.
Well, I think
there
a
were
big
10,000 legit
yeah,
fans.
but you
sometimes.
know what?
10,000 at least.
But you know when you also used to have a good show going on. It's like for our team, I mean, yeah, great. You're getting watch great soccer, but you're also getting a great show. I mean, you're getting all the perks. When we're not playing, there's a lot of stuff going on. Sam's got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, they make a great venue out of it. And then you got, like you said, the Rhinos don't have that anymore. And then the other problem they have is every year they got different guys on the team.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a soccer player.
no
I know everybody in
whatsoever.
Rochester. I even know all the Rhinos. But every year I got a new Rhinos. I mean,
Yeah, you don't have any more household names like Doug
Yeah.
Miller and Lennon Steenkamp. You don't get to look for. I
Yeah.
mean, the last one we had was J.C. Banks, and he's gone.
Well, they got
Yeah.
the best coach in the league. I think Bob Lilly's
Oh,
the best
absolutely.
coach in
Oh,
the
yeah.
league.
That's one
He's
thing.
a great man.
Absolutely.
Well, I think-
he gets the most. I don't think anyone in USL is better at extracting the most out of the talent he has.
Well, I think you're going to
Definitely,
see a lot of other stuff happening too, because now Gavin's their assistant coach, goalkeeper coach. I've been watching him, at some of his practices. I think you'll see a lot out of his keepers, and yeah, so they got two good coaches going on, and hopefully, they get a good team this year, and then they can keep most of their core next year, and the fans will start to know these guys, and they can, grow their venue more.
It'd be nice.
I mean, people want to go see the same people. People come watch the Lancers. They want to see Maurizio Salas, Ortiz, guys like that out there. They're going to want to see the Capinos brothers. So they're going to want to see all the same people. They start changing that around. It gets kind of.
But it's back to that 65-inch TV thing. You talked about, I'm telling you, that's the biggest challenge right now. That in lacrosse, the Nighthawks, there's nothing really to compare it to. The Lancers, there's nothing really to compare it to. But you can watch on your television set
Hockey,
soccer.
soccer.
Your first division Italian soccer, first division English soccer,
Yeah.
MLS soccer. There's just so many choices out there. We're back in the earlier days of the Rhinos that wasn't out there. So
Yeah.
everyone's competing with that.
So you don't really think about that. John and I talk just in our free time a lot about what happened with the Rhinos. I mean, the ethnic cultures of Rochester used to really come out a lot more than they do now. You don't see the Italians as much as you used to, or the Ukrainians, or they used to really. They latched on to the Rhinos for a while when everyone did, and now it's just kind of it's the soccer mom crowd, but there's not as many as there even used to be of them. But I think it's got to be the television thing has a lot to do with
Television
it.
hurts everything. I'm telling you. I'm looking at our Monday night game, the 23rd. You guys aren't thinking this way. I'm thinking this way. Dancing with the Stars is their second week.
I didn't even think about that.
40,000 people are going to probably be watching Dancing with the Stars in Rochester. Those people aren't going to be at the game. I mean, you're competing with that. You're competing with television programming, not just necessarily sports.
You're right.
But whatever that, if it's American Idol,
I can't miss
or if
my
it's The
show.
Voice,
Anybody want to buy a
competing
ticket? I forgot that was on. Anybody want to buy my ticket?
But
Is that what's the is Michael Sam on that night?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
people,
I'm gonna definitely be
TiVo
like I
Dancing
said,
with the Stars.
No,
if you have to
don't.
watch it,
It's stupid.
TiVo it and go to the game.
Don't watch it. It's
Yeah.
mindless.
Just go to the game.
Mindless garbage.
But that's people do like just like the Kardashian show.
I don't
People
get it.
want to
It's
watch
mindless
this
garbage.
mindless dribble for whatever reason.
Why?
I don't know.
Listen, you could
don't know.
go watch. This could be history being made by watching this World Cup game. So like you got to go out there and watch it.
Or
I
you
mean,
can watch someone dance around who's a has-been.
Well, we did autograph pads today for the Brazil and the Russian team, and I said to my staff, it's like, if some little kid gets this autograph, that's part of history. They went to a World Cup match, and that Russian guy signing an autograph, he could be the next huge star in outdoor or indoor soccer. That Brazilian guy could be the next big star. And people,
Absolutely. Well, it's just like people don't know. I mean, I've been around soccer for a long time. Sagu is actually a huge star back in the day. Like, he's still a great keeper, but like, he's a huge star. I mean, if you grew up watching soccer at all, you know who he is. I mean, just like Tattoo. I mean, these are big people playing in this thing. I mean, it's not.
Those aren't pastas.
Say, isn't that a sauce?
Sagu and Tattoo.
Yeah,
I like that.
I thought I ate that at Basil's.
I don't know why you would go there.
What's wrong with
Oh no!
I
That
honestly
look he
didn't
gave
even
you.
Get that joke? Was that like an ethnic joke or something? I don't know.
I don't know why you were
For
ripping on
shame.
our Italian culture over
I'm
there.
not.
For
I'm
shame.
saying
No,
I
I-
like it.
And then you bring up this restaurant that's not even like, I don't know if that's even real Italian anymore. Right?
I don't know. I thought that's supposed to be good. Honestly, I was just searching in my mind for the best Italian restaurant in Rochester. I'm thinking Basil's, Mario's.
I like Mario's.
Which one? I should probably should
They're all
Mario's,
good. They're
right?
all good, man. But I like how quick you think, though, man. You're
Oh,
smooth,
I
brother.
But you know, Salvatore's does have pasta
Salvatore,
dinners.
yeah,
and-
There we
actually, they have
go.
Great,
It's okay.
They have great
Yeah.
pasta, great
What are you
pizza,
thinking?
super slice. It's as big as your head,
Yes.
huh?
Yeah.
Right? It's bigger than John's head, even. And John has a very large head.
You got to get it with the old style pepperonis, though.
Yeah.
The
Those
ri-
are big pepperonis. What I like
What's
about
a curl?
Salvatore's is it is just loaded with pepperoni. You
They
go to
kiss.
some of the other places in town, they listen. I worked at a couple pizza shops. They tell you there is a strict limit on the number of pepperonis that you can put on the pizza. Just like how many blueberries are in this muffin? I want the same blueberries in every muffin, right? But no, Salvatore's just loaded with pepperoni.
We try, man. We try.
You know?
Good.
John, tell us about one of our other favorite sponsors.
Oh, man, favorite? Well, Leroy Discount Liquor. I'll keep it short and simple. The weather is good, so there's no excuse not to get out to Leroy. It's really not that far of a drive. We all know Johnny. He loves sports. If you like the show, then you hear us talking about it a lot. But he has some new selections, his wine selection, $15 and under, $5.99 selection. He also has expanded his whiskey selection. So if you're a whiskey drinker, go down to the Leroy Tops Plaza and check out our buddies over there at Leroy Discount Liquor.
All right, we're going to switch gears just for a minute here and talk a little puck. Matt Stathopoulos, what a weekend for RIT hockey. Tell us about it. RIT sweeping Air Force at the Gene Policini Center. 2-1 on Friday night, 7-3 on Saturday night. Couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thanks for having me on today, guys. It's definitely an honor to be joining you guys again. But, looking to this past weekend and the games that the Tigers had, especially Saturday, what a game. And it seems like Air Force was with them the whole way, up until the third period of Game 2. Air Force was responding and playing well the whole way. But in the end, the Tigers deserved to win and essentially got it done. The Friday night game was very close. With Garbowski getting that game tied, and then with Josh Mitchell getting that game winner off of a fluky bounce in the corner, it was something. And that really set the tone for Game 2. The fact that it was such a close game, and Air Force had a bit of a rally at the end there, a lot of chances to tie the game up. But props to Jordan Ruby and the Tigers defensively to hold it off. And then in the third period, it was a bit more of the same. The game was very close, and then in the third, it just really opened up. It started with RIT taking the lead, and the rest is history. The floodgates really opened, and the game ended up being 7-3. So a lot to be proud of from the Tigers, and I'm sure that Game 2 win is definitely going to give them a lot of confidence going into this weekend.
Now, Matt, I heard it was pretty nice crowds, too, at the Gene Policini Center.
Oh, yeah. Both nights it was great. I think I think the Friday was a little bit bigger than the one Saturday, but to be honest, I think the Saturday night crowd was a lot louder because, for those of you that have been to RIT games and whatnot, the corner crew, the student section, but I think it's safe to say that the corner crew grew a little bit on Saturday night. A lot of the other general admission sections on that side of the rink, everything that the corner crew was doing. So it was quite the atmosphere, and definitely great for the program and for the new Gene Policini Center going forward.
Now, Matt, Friday night, RIT playing in the AHA tournament at home. Of course, they're the only team in Atlantic hockey that can say that. 8:35 Friday night at the Blue Cross Arena. They got the late game. I hope it's a big crowd. I mean, what can we expect for attendance?
Well, I mean, I missed the AHA tournament last year in Ohio, but from what I remember from years past, when the Tigers are in it definitely is a little bit bigger, but it's not quite the crowd that you see when RIT plays their homecoming games there, like the game they played last October against Boston College, and then the year before against Michigan, and then Penn State and St. Lawrence and so on and so forth. Those games were always sold out, filled to capacity, orange everywhere you could go. But for some reason, the AHA crowds aren't as big, and I don't really have an answer for that. But I'm sure the Atlantic Hockey Conference is definitely happy that the Tigers are in it because they know that they'll get their biggest crowd possible with them in it. Because last year they weren't. And from what I remember from pictures, no disrespect to
the crowd wasn't great last year. I was at the final. It looked like maybe 1,800.
Yeah,
it was pretty
definitely.
disappointing, but it was two teams, not from the area, so.
Right. It is disappointing because it's great hockey. It's a lot of excitement.
Hockey.
So definitely. So I mean, you wonder why, with a town like Rochester that has a lot of hockey fans and has a good hockey community, you'd expect them to show up to an event like that. But I mean, in the end, if the Tigers can really make a name for themselves on Friday, maybe that'll attract more to the Saturday night game. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so Matt, real quick, what can we expect from Canisius? I think it's cool that they're playing Canisius. I mean, it's the closest rival for the Tigers. You probably get some fans in from Buffalo as well. But on the hockey side of it, what to expect from Canisius?
Yeah, well, Canisius is a pretty tough team. They've been doing a great job with their recruiting these last couple of years. They've had a lot of local guys. Like I know Matt Grayson was one of the guys from Buffalo who was on their team a couple of years ago, and Coach Smith has just done a great job as far as their development and whatnot. And I'm sure you guys know the name Corey Conacher, who spent some time with the Buffalo Sabres last year, and he's in the NHL right now.
Yeah,
still.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, so it's definitely a lot of things to be proud of for Canisius. But I say from this year, it's been a bit of a weird season for them, but they're coming off of close wins against Sacred Heart. They beat them Friday night 2-0, and then Saturday night 2-1. But one of the factors that everybody needs to pay attention to with this matchup is the fact that Canisius and RIT are bitter rivals, and I don't know who I would pick as far as a bigger rival for RIT, whether it be Niagara or Canisius, but I definitely know that both teams, it gets heated, and these two teams coming up on Friday have had some history, so it's definitely going to be, I expect a lot of physicality and, combined with a lot of skill as well, so it's just going to be a showdown.
All right, Matt, it should be very exciting. I can't wait. Friday night,
yeah,
Blue Cross Arena, 8:35. Tickets are available right now. This is going to, not only great college hockey, playoff college hockey.
It's playoff atmosphere.
It's going to be very exciting.
Awesome.
Matt, thank you so much for checking in. Have fun this weekend. Maybe we'll see you out there.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Yep.
My pleasure.
All right, that was Matt Stathopoulos. Guys, Rochester Sports and Physical Therapy, 125 Red Creek Drive off of Calkins Road in Henrietta, right off of 390, very conveniently located, is your home for all of your physical therapy needs. I've been going there to rehab my knee. It is going great. The physical therapist that I see, Katie, she's been doing this for almost 2 decades, over 2 decades, excuse me. She has seen everything. She knows exactly what she's doing. Wonderful person. Edna also has been doing this for almost 20 years. They have all the physical therapy equipment you could possibly need. Whether you need a rehab from knee surgery like me, you have back pain, shoulder problems, sprained ankle, anything like that, go to Rochester Sports and Physical Therapy. Here's the best part. You do not even need a prescription from your doctor. Most insurances cover at least 10 visits to a physical therapist for any reason. No need to even stop at your doctor's office before you go there. Just give them a call, 334-8090, and tell them that you heard about them on Rochester Sports Mumblings. All right, we're going to hear from Dr. Sev in just a minute here. We got to talk a little basketball. The Razor Sharks will be playing the Lake Michigan Admirals and the 7'8" Galoot. I like that word.
Galoot.
Galoot. Is that an Italian thing?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know, but I grew up with it. Big galoot.
Uh-huh. It sounds like some kind of meal. It's maybe a Russian thing. I don't know what Russians eat. They eat a lot of meat, right?
Borscht.
Borscht? What is borscht? I saw borscht.
Potatoes.
Tell me, what is that? What it is?
Yeah.
I saw borscht at Wegmans the other night. I had no idea what it is.
It's like a potato.
I would have bought it and tried it.
Yeah, I probably should have. I was just kind of leery about what it was in it. It was red and it was grated.
No, I'm sorry, beets. It's beets.
It is beets. Yeah, I didn't think that it was
Potatoes, beets.
Okay.
My bad.
Yeah.
It's good.
Is it?
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, you just because you knew it was potato soup first, now it's beet soup.
So, yeah,
that was good. It was real good.
Exactly what it is, right?
It's called thinking something and saying something different.
Uh-huh.
It happens.
All right. Well, anyways, maybe the Russians will bring some borscht to the Blue Cross Arena when they come on March 23rd to play the Brazilians. We're going to be joined by Dr. Sev here.
Hey, how are you? All right. Thank you for joining us again. It's really cool to have you on.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, we're discussing what went on with the PBL here. The season ended a little bit prematurely this year. The owners deciding to cut the regular season short, just go straight to the playoffs. Can you kind of explain to us what happened?
Yeah, the one of the owners from one of the cities said put a motion in to have a call on a Monday, and we have to give everybody 3 days notice. So we sent the memo out, and it was regarding cutting the season short to save funds. We had a long discussion on a Monday, and every owner except one said, you know what, with the travel, with the rescheduling, with the additional funds in hotels and things going on, they would say, look, we're out of the playoffs anyways. If we can save a couple home dates and save on our hotel and travel budget, we'd all be better off for it. They put it to a vote, and the vote was to cut it short, and I approved it. And I approved it, and I think smart move. It's a business decision.
Okay. But, I mean, as far as, the thing that concerns me, and I think probably a lot of fans, I know there's also a lot of casual fans who probably won't even notice, but as far as someone who does follow minor league basketball, it is concerning to see most of the teams in the league not reach anywhere close to the 20-game schedule, which was set out for in the beginning of the year. And it's something that, long ago when the Razor Sharks started in the ABA, that was always an issue with teams dropping out a quarter way through the season, halfway through the season.
Yeah. Right. In the ABA, the issue was these guys never had the money to start with, and we didn't know. So you got 90% of the teams in the ABA never had the money even to start the season, and then they would schedule teams with us, and that was wrong. At least our owners had the money. They have the business sense, and business sense even smart enough to say, you know what, how about we cut it down and use our funds and save our funds for the next season. I have no problem with that because at the end of the day, it's a business decision, and that's the way you have to look at it. And it was a horrible winter, and I know a lot of teams had incurred extra expenses, and I can't fault them. You're talking about the PBL, which is the only minor league that our league chips in and gives loans out and subsidizes some teams that are financial problems. You're not going to find it anyplace else. So I applaud them for their business decision.
So how does this spell out for the future of the league? Is the league going to move forward? Will we see the PBL next year? Are the Razor Sharks going to be in it? What do you know at this point?
Well, yeah, we're going forward, and what it spells out is, and again, what we could have done is for the teams that were starting to hurt a little bit more than others, we could have cashed in their bond, their $25,000 bond, and used it. But that's not what I do. I don't believe in that. So what we will probably do is increase the amount of security bond that's needed from $25,000 to $50,000, and try to ensure that everybody's just a little bit more protected. If the vote would have been closer, instead of being just one against and everybody for it, I would have said, you know what, let's finish it out. But I go by what they decided.
All right. So it sounds like the PBL will be coming back. Of course,
absolutely. Not only that, but I can tell you we got 6 teams already that are accepted provisionally. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Provisional acceptance already, so it's only going to get better.
And now, how about the Razor Sharks' continued involvement? Of course, with the rumors earlier this season of the Sharks looking at the D-League and the Raptors coming to town, is that still a possibility, or is that ship kind of sailed, or what's the
that's still a possibility.
Okay, great.
Toronto and us are on the same page. The problem is not with us or with Toronto. The problem is with the D-League. Again, let's talk business. They want $6 million entrance fee.
Wow.
I don't believe it's worth $6 million. Couple million, yeah, I don't mind that. Couple million, but not $6 million. Not to play 42 games and then, we're stuck with whatever the NBA team drafts. Doesn't make it for exciting basketball. Nobody's going to go in Rochester 3 times a week. The other cities might be able to do it, but if you look at their attendance, it averages between 700 to 2,000, depending on the city. Bakersfield in the D League, they only get 400 fans a game, but that's all they can seat. So, I think we did our due diligence, and my staff did good due diligence in checking things out, and that's a hefty price. $6 million can go to a lot of other better things, don't you think?
So how do these other cities how are they affording that franchise fee, or were they kind of grandfathered in at a lower price?
Well, they got in at a lower price, so now they want to say, look, we've established the value. So that's what the value of our teams are. Well, that's great, but who's going to buy at that value? Right? You can buy a home that's worth $50,000 for $250. Hopefully, you can sell it for $300. But if it's a $50,000 home, it's still a $50,000 home. Now, could things change? Could they say, you know what, we can accept less? Maybe. We've been talking for 6 months now.
Is there any chance of moving a team here?
Moving another D-League team?
Yeah.
They'd have to. I'd have to buy them.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
Yeah, I'd
So
have
it's
to
the
buy
same
them.
either way.
And Toronto was very happy with the organization. You know, they came to Rochester. They came to talk to me here in Chicago. We saw all the paperwork. They did their due diligence. So it only makes sense. You know, 2.5, 3 hours away, it would be perfect sense for them.
Would there be any chance of the Raptors just buying a team for themselves and owning the Raider Sharks or whatever they wanted to call it and having them play out of the Blue Cross Arena?
And we talked about that, and they don't want to do that.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah. If anything, the option would be they'd have a choice to buy us after our hybrid agreement was up.
All right. Well, it should be very interesting, Dr. Seth, seeing what happens. Obviously, I think we're all rooting for D-League, but whatever the league ends up being, next year, as long as there's pro basketball continuing in Rochester, it's a good thing.
Good team there this year in Rochester. Good team. Michigan's got a good team. They have this player, 7'8",
Bob Wagner.
Pardon me?
Bob Wagner. Yeah, I was just looking up. 7'8". This is unbelievable.
His name is Bob Wagner. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So.
And according to a couple articles, he's not only the tallest pro basketball player currently playing, he's apparently the tallest pro athlete in the world that they can find.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to jump to dunk. That's going
to just place it in gently into the basket.
Wow, amazing. Well, they're really a run and gun team, so it's going to be interesting. RD against their run and gun, so it should be a good series. First game is this Saturday in Lake Michigan.
Yep. Where do they play? Is that out of Muskegon or
out of St. Joe's, Michigan?
St. Joe's. Okay. Very cool. Yeah. So game 1 coming up this Saturday in Michigan. Yep. Game 2, March 28th, Saturday at the 1 p.m. tip-off at the Blue Cross Arena. And I saw there's 2 WWE former superstars coming, right?
3. I think there's 3 they got
3.
coming.
Okay. Have they been named yet? I saw the pictures, but I don't want to drop any names.
Hold on. This will be a good test of my memory. Hold on. Let's see. It's Coco Beware, Santana, and the Hammer Valentine. How am I doing?
I think you did pretty well there. That's excellent. And not only that, I saw also the Morgan twins, who, of course, were famously on American Idol a couple years ago, will be singing the national anthem at the Blue
Correct. And we're trying to get a real special guest to come by. I guess you'll be the first ones to hear this.
Okay.
All right. It's not public yet because we're still working at it. We'd like to get Coach Ryan of the Bills.
Wow. Possible Rex Ryan appearance. This is very cool.
Yeah, possible. So.
All right. That would be great.
The first 2 are for sure. The third we're working at, but it's going to be a great event.
Sounds like it's going to be a great time. Looking forward to being there, Dr. Seth. Thank you so much for joining us again. We always love having you on.
Thank you for having me on. Good luck, guys. Have fun.
All right, thanks. Bye.
So, Sammy, do you know those wrestlers he was talking about?
Well, first of all, Dr. Seth is my favorite doctor.
He's a great doctor.
He's a great doctor. I don't know those guys. I probably should, but I don't. But I'm sorry. But they're probably big names back in the day.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Mark?
Yeah, I've heard of them. And
you have? John, you've heard of them?
Yeah.
Which one? The Hammer guy?
I've heard of them all.
Okay.
Yeah.
What era were they from?
They're definitely.
I know you didn't have the headphones. I'm sorry.
They're definitely from an era that's long past, but they're like legends.
Okay.
It was
the Hammer.
The Hammer, Valentino,
Greg the
Coco.
Hammer
Yep,
Valentine?
and Coco.
Oh, you know
Coco Beware.
Coco Beware.
Who used to have a parrot on his shoulder.
Oh, that's the guy with the parrot.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that's all. That's my extent of.
Those just the two of them?
No, and what was the other one, John? Do you remember?
I don't remember the other one, but Coco be wearing
Okay.
Valentine Hammer Valentino.
All right.
But
And Dr. Love, the fourth one.
No, Dr. Love, but he said Santana, and I was thinking about the player for Syracuse.
Oh, Nelson Santana.
I liked how
was him. He didn't play.
I liked how when you said his name, he's like, that's his name. He was just like,
I know he didn't know. He didn't know the name of Bob Wagner.
It was just like he was surprised his name was. He goes, his name is Bob Wagner.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't understand why
people
he
named
was so
Wagner can't be that tall.
I know. I didn't understand why he was so surprised. I was wondering what you were laughing at. Actually,
Yeah.
but yeah, okay.
I thought that was kind of funny too, because you probably thought it was some like foreign name, you know.
You're like Wagner.
So I guess it's not like our league where you got to know every guy by their name. I mean, all you got to be is like, hey, you're gonna have to watch out for the 7'8" guy.
Right? Yeah. It's the really tall guy.
It doesn't really matter what his name is.
It's the
You know
one
which
who
guy
is the
that is
duck
for
to
sure.
Walk into
Right.
the building.
So, Sammy, what do you think about all that Dr. Seb was talking about? You know, would you, if you were in his position, would you drop $6 million on a team to go in the D League, which is like the AHL of basketball?
Definitely not. $6 million. I'd buy
Something else.
something else. So I buy an island in Brazil and just
Right.
go relax. If you got $6 million to blow.
He would sell the Ukraine and buy an island. In
like I said,
Sell the Ukraine.
Dr. Sub's great, and his league and his team are great, but with the power of television, we're only going to always draw what we draw. That's just how it's going to be. And just because the fans don't care if it's ABA or PBA or whatever league it is, they're coming to see the Razor Sharks and coming to see the players they like. I wouldn't spend that kind of money.
Do you think the market in Rochester for professional sports is oversaturated? We have more minor league teams than any other city in the country.
This is my favorite debate we have.
Yeah.
I
We have
don't- I
8
don't- I
minor
don't-
league teams,
I don't think
plus
so.
RIT hockey.
I think it's a completely different fan base. Like, most of the Lancer fans will never go to a hockey game, never go to a night hockey game. There's very few like you guys that cross over and then go to different things. It's a whole different fan base. So I don't think that's a problem. I think the problem is the television sets and all the other events. I mean, I've been going to a Lancer game and having to stop, let's say, at Home Depot or Lowe's to get tape to put up the signs. And you're talking about a Saturday afternoon where these plazas are jam-packed with people. You're competing with that. You're competing with people going to restaurants. You're competing with people going to plays. I mean, the malls. I mean, you're competing with all that stuff. Where back in the day, I mean, if there was, an event, that was it. There was one thing you go to and you just went to it. Now it's like, there's all these other things.
There's just so much going on. We do. I think Rochester, as I've lived in several cities and several other states, and they don't have the type of entertainment and the amount for the value that we have here. I mean, we have so much to choose from.
There's
we really do.
so much for a city our size.
Not even
I've
just
traveled
that,
a lot.
for
It
any
just
city,
doesn't
really.
seem like there's a lot of cities out there with so many entertainment options that we have.
There's just so much
It's
going on.
amazing.
Yeah. So I think all the sport teams could survive. I think there is a crossover with the sponsors. I'm looking at your jersey right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like the Ide family of dealerships, and now you're supporting the Amerks, the Nighthawks, the Razor Sharks, the Lancers, you can only give each team so much.
Sure.
But think about it. In every category that's on that jersey, in every category that's out there, including the sponsors you mentioned today, there's 20 other people that are in the same business. So you can go after different sponsors. I just think we need to figure out a way to get the Blue Cross Arena to say, you know what, that sports team brings us in revenue for our concessions and our parking. Let's not charge them rent, and let's be like a band. We have Salvatore's Pizza Pub. On Saturday nights, we pay bands to come in. We have to pay the band to come in because we make all the money on the pizza and the food. Well, that's how it should be in a sporting venue. It's like, pay the Lancers to come and play at the Blue Cross Arena because we're going to turn around and bring you in $40,000, $50,000 in revenue for concessions and parking. Why are we paying rent? It makes no sense.
Now, how does that compare to other cities, though? Have you done research on that?
It's different in every single city. If you guys could do the homework down the road, but you look at the Bills, they get a free stadium.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We talk about the Bills.
It's sickening how the NFL, the money that these municipalities and states spend on NFL, and they use the stadium 10 to 12 times a year.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but that NFL team, like I just came from Baltimore, it just adds a whole new life to that city.
Yeah.
And the same thing that the Amerks, the Nighthawks, the Razor Sharks, and the Lancers bring a whole new life to Rochester.
Right.
But you got to help them survive. By
Right.
helping them survive, you can't knock them over the head with rent because you can't make it work.
Right.
I mean, you see these plazas with all these vacancies, then you call to find out what the rent is. Like, of course, people can't make it. The rent's too high.
Right.
You need to
The
lower
rent is too damn high.
lower the rent and make your money in the concessions and get aggressive with the concessions. That's it.
Yeah. I totally agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. There's got to be a way. I mean, all these teams add a certain different something to the culture of our city. It's cultural currency. And I think that deserves to be compensated for instead of charging them. I totally agree.
I mean, I can't speak for the other sports, but I can tell you the Lancers, there's so many young kids come to the games, and their parents will say to me, like after the second game, now he's a soccer nut. He just loves soccer. He fell in love with the game. He went to play. He's going to go play for the YMCA. He's going to do the pickup leagues. And it's amazing what each one of these sports does to these young kids and their families. And you know, I think the city needs to get behind that.
Well, I've explained to these guys, I think, before. Walter Kapiniak.
Yeah.
Well, he's never been to a game before, and he found out I was playing or whatever.
Hold on, Mark. Hold on.
Working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. It's on my third job. Why? The rent is too damn high. The people I'm here to represent can't afford to pay the rent. Cause rent is too damn high. The people being laid off right now.
I love that
You just
song.
got to go in the city and play this song, Sam.
The bottom line is the economic state of emergency is the way to go. The way to go. To go. This will reduce the cost. You cut the rent down. You cut the taxes down. To give business
Makes
owners the
sense.
chance to
This does
hire.
make a lot of sense.
Give business owners the chance to hire.
I like. I'm gonna vote for this guy. When's he running again?
There's nothing else to talk about. Some say,
But if he's gonna lower the rent, let's put him in office.
You mentioned earlier a couple of restaurants in town, Basil's and
Yeah.
Mario's. And you think about those restaurants have made a fortune. The owners have made a fortune serving 200 dinners maybe a night, maybe 300 to 400 on a weekend night. And they've made a fortune. Imagine if you're the Blue Cross Arena where you're selling a popcorn that costs you 6 cents for $6, or a beer that costs you 60 cents for $6. Think about the profit level in that.
So that's 1,000 or is it 10,000? My math's
I
not
can't even figure it out.
It's a lot of
It's like
percent
a
profit.
10,000%
I think it's 10,000, 6 cents to $6. Yeah.
So, I mean,
10,000%.
that's where the money's at, and now you control that. So make that your money stream. And you don't need to charge the local teams that. Now the local teams could get better players. They could spend more money on marketing so the casual fan knows that there's an event and there's a game. I honestly don't know when the other sports teams play. I don't follow them. So I don't know. It's not in my head. I know when the Bills are playing. I know their quarterback issue. I know they got
everyone,
a new coach.
because it's all they
everyone
talk
knows.
about it on 1280. And with the Bills, this is what bothers me. Is John DeTullio, he does a great show and all that, and Bob Matthews, he covers the local teams. He does. But John DeTullio, which probably
The
is
John DeTullio
maybe
show.
bigger audience than Bob. I don't know, but he's got a huge audience. Every day it's the Bills. That's all
And that's
it
the
is.
thing
And
is-
we're not even in Buffalo, and football season is like 9 months away. So I don't get it.
My big issue is you go to a lot of other places that have sports teams and they focus on their teams. They're not saying, hey, what's going on across the state? They're saying we have our team, and that doesn't happen here. They do not give our local sports team mind. They worry about what SU is doing. They worry about what the Bills are
Man,
doing.
I love
and
you
that
guys.
needs to stop happening.
That's why the show's so important.
Yeah.
I mean, you open the paper or you watch the news, they don't tell you about a bank robbery in Buffalo
No.
or a bank robbery in Syracuse. They talk about what's going on in our city.
Yes.
Our sports reporters should be focusing on our city.
Absolutely.
I've
100%.
written to the DNC about that. I've called. It's like you got to understand. There's a reason why we don't have the culture of pride there, because we don't take advantage of the things we have to build pride in this area. And sports teams are part of it. A lot of people sometimes you talk about sports, and I've heard people say, "Oh, the Rhinos, they're still around." I mean, people will say that sometimes.
Yeah, and it's true. That always boggles my mind.
I hear it
That's a
lot.
whole nother issue. I mean,
I mean, and
we're
for all
probably the
teams.
only city that's built a new stadium, and the attendance has gone down by what 67%. It's tough, but that's a whole nother issue. But to your point, a lot of people are not conscious that there are these teams here.
No, and how would you be, because you're not having it jammed down your throat like you have SU
Right.
and Buffalo Bills jammed down your throat.
Well, I can tell you, this is our 4th year, and you see, I got the logo on my. I can't tell you at least once a day. Somebody say, "Oh, I used to go to Lancer games when I was a kid."
Really?
And I said,
"Oh wow,
you know about the Lancers are in town now?" "Oh, really?
Really?
Like you live here? You don't know that?"
Wow, really?"
But they don't know.
I've gotten it too, and they're usually like, "Well, isn't it a little cold out to be playing right now?"
I hear that when I say, "Yeah, I'm going to take the family to the Lancers game."
Right.
They're like, "Outside?" Like, no, inside.
Well,
they play soccer inside.
Speaking of that, the Rhinos played yesterday.
Outside?
Yes, they played outside.
My God.
I saw the Capinos brothers there at Salem.
Yeah, they had a game.
They played after.
Yeah.
They're playing for the Ukrainian Americans this year. They're
Yeah.
playing Cobras FC after the game. So, man, the snowbanks are high at Salem.
Did,
They're like
Did they
10
bulldoze
feet high.
They bulldoze it off the field again?
To the sides of the field, but it's a lot worse. I mean, last year the snowbanks were like 3 feet high. This year they're like 8 or 9 feet
need
high,
to
just
shovel it.
surrounding the stadium. It's
You
kind
need
of cool.
to
It's
shovel
like they're
it, not
playing
bulldoze.
inside an igloo,
Wait, were
basically.
you so you were at the game?
Yeah.
Did they win?
No, they tied Cornell at 0-0. So, which is kind of weird because they went up to Ottawa on Friday. They tied Ottawa of the NASL higher division 1-1. Come back home, play Cornell. They tied 0-0. I overheard.
They don't play to the same.
Well, they're also. I think they're missing a few guys. Obasi's going to be playing with them again. I think he's not there. So
It's almost an entire new team again. You got
It's
Obasi's
absolutely-
back. Colin Rolfe is back. Dixon is back. Brandon Miller's back. I think that's it.
yeah,
I might be missing
that's
one.
what I was trying to tell you.
But I
mean,
think
it's-
that's it.
you know,
It's a shame. I don't understand why is there so much turnover in the USL.
I don't know if that it's the whole USL. I mean, the Rhinos, for some reason, they turn over guys like it's going out of style.
Is it Lily or is it?
Listen, I don't know. You know, I personally think it's Lily, but who knows? You know, I mean, Sam knows Bob a little bit better than I do, so he might know the difference of that. But that's the problem. I think, you know, back in the day, you know, you have Doug Miller or Steenkamp. You have all those same guys. I mean, that's what you want to see.
That was a different era, though. I don't think you can blame the Rhinos for that because the USL nowadays is so different than the A-League was back then.
Well, I mean,
the A-League was about.
You got to remember the Rhinos are in the 3rd division now, so a lot of players are there. It's a feeder. They're there for a rehab. They're there with the intention of going up. We're used to the Rhinos being in the 1st division or the 2nd division, so that's why I think we're seeing a lot of players, you know, in and out because they don't want to be there that long. They want to be in the 3rd division and move up, and I think that's one.
Well, it was nice to see J.C. Banks move up to the 2nd division to Minnesota after last year. He had a great year last year, and John McCarthy move up to the 1st division. He moved up to MLS, which was great to see them developing players. It's much more of a development league now than it ever was.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not crazy about these teams that call themselves, the Red Bulls too, and all that. I think that's not positive. I mean, you don't want the casual fan to think it's a development league. I mean, it's just
I think that's the direction they've gone though,
and they embraced it.
They have embraced it completely, and they've embraced it to they're treating NASL as their complete adversaries. I think that their model of soccer is totally different. That the NASL wants to be, you know, this league that's not the MLS but close.
Yeah,
the USL says, you know, we don't want to. We want to be the feeder to the MLS.
That hurts. I think that hurts drawing fans, as I've said. And
I agree. Although there are exceptions.
This is before the Rhinos even moved down. They're still 2nd division. I remember trying to get friends to go, and they're like, why would I want to go when I can just go to school? You know, we're in high school and watch a soccer game at school, and it's like, but it's not the same. And people have that they're like, this is nothing. This is just some feeder league, and I think that hurts you.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked for baseball for years, and it's worked for hockey. Let's face it. It's just I'm not sure if the soccer fan is used to it. And you mentioned a bunch of things about the old Rhinos. I just think it was a different era where, at the time, MLS hadn't taken off.
Yes. Yeah.
And so people that were Rhino fans just thought that this was the highest level in American soccer.
Right. It's true.
It was more or less equal to MLS at the day, wasn't it?
Was it ever? I don't think it was ever equal. Obviously, because you saw the Open Cup. That was an anomaly that the Rhinos were able to beat 4 teams to win it. And it hasn't happened again.
Yeah.
But I think it was a lot closer than it is now. Let's say between the difference in play between MLS and NASL or USL is pretty big. There's a big gap now, right?
Dr. Di Pasquale, who he was at our school, he was an athletic trainer for a while, and I asked him, I said, what do you feel about the difference between MLS and, you know, the A-League? And he even said, he goes, and back in the beginning, he goes, there really wasn't that much of a difference.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, there wasn't really that much of a difference, and the A-League had more teams, and there was more competition, and that's why it took off, because there was more competition, and the Rhinos were the top of it.
Yeah, the way I understand is back then, guys could have gone to MLS or played in the Rhinos League and played indoor. So a lot of guys chose to do both to make more money.
Make more money, yeah.
And some guys decided to go to MLS, but it was really comparable. I just think the Rhinos are going to be around for many years to come. I think if they could draw their 5,000-6,000 fans a game, make the numbers work again, they control the concessions, they control the parking. And you'll come and see players that maybe develop into something great, like the goalkeeper
McCarthy,
that left.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what a year. He was exciting to watch. He was really fun to watch. Goalie. That's one thing, Mark, that concerns me about the Rhinos this year is I don't know the names of any of these goalies. Miller is back, but he only played a couple games the last couple years, and he looked okay. He didn't look fantastic.
I don't know the guy's name, but one of them, I guess, is probably
the one they played yesterday in the first half was from the University of Michigan. So I don't know.
One of them's a national. He plays on a national team, I thought.
Oh, really?
Gavin was telling me. But I've seen him training with him, and they all look pretty decent. I mean, I can't say they're a Christian Neek or
John McCarthy.
Yeah, but I mean, they all look pretty good. But with Gavin behind those guys, I mean, whether they're good now, they'll be great by the end of the season. I can guarantee you. He's a good guy.
But back to your comment, if the media in Rochester did their job, we would know. If Bob Lilly got 15 new players every year, in 2 weeks we know who they all are, just like you do with the Bills and the Sabres. I don't even follow those teams. I know everything about them.
Yeah.
I mean, I know about the new Bills coach and his wife and the thing.
Yeah,
and like,
his truck.
Yeah, it's like
he painted his truck.
Well, it was like at the benefit concert, the Pepsi concert, that they had. I mean, granted it was for the Super Bowl, but I mean, it was basically we might as well have been in Buffalo. I mean, everyone was chanting "Let's go Buffalo," and I mean, it was kind of one of those things.
Oh, what the Nico and Vin's, the Pepsi thing?
Yeah. Because I went to it with Theo. And
that I understand because it's for the Super Bowl, so obviously they're going to promote the NFL and not hockey or whatever. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. We went way over. We got to tell you about one of our other fantastic sponsors. Let's see if this music works.
No, it doesn't. Stop.
No?
Play something that works or play nothing at all.
All right,
You're going to play.
All right, ready? I got it. Ready, John?
Yes, I'm
ready.
ready.
All right, tell me. Oh, yeah.
Now this works.
Oh, go visit our favorite sponsor, the Mirage, 414 West Ridge Road on the corner of Ridge and Dewey, where you can find up to 20 of the hottest girls 7 nights of the week. That's right, guys. They are open 7 nights of the week. Early on Fridays. Get out of work. 4 o'clock, they are open. Come in. They have the coldest beer in town. They are known for having the coldest beer and the hottest girls. Happy hour Fridays, 4 to 9 p.m. Free admission. Come in. They got a great pool table, really comfortable plush chairs. They're adding a new champagne room. That will be up there in a couple weeks. This place is just being totally remodeled. It's going to be fantastic. The waitresses are gorgeous. The bartenders are gorgeous. The dancers are the hottest in town. Give them a visit. 414 West Ridge Road. That is the Mirage. And why don't you tell us, Mark Sotile, about Joey's Place?
Joey's Place, 936 Portland Avenue, full-service auto repair shop, 585-319-4562 for all your auto repair needs.
And, of course, a couple friends of ours are getting their repairs done at Joey's, and possibly another one here.
Don't go other places.
Possibly another one.
Don't make my mistake and learn your lesson.
Hopefully yours isn't as big of a job as our mutual friends, though.
Yeah.
All right, and we should thank our other shows on RockSportsNetwork.com. Matt and Matt on Ice, Matt Stathopoulos and Matt Winthrop. We had them on earlier. Matt was on tonight. Local and regional hockey news and views, RT Hockey and the Amerks. The Big Schmaz, local and national wrestling happenings and updates hosted by superstar Rob Schultz and Ivan the Impaler. Do you know Ivan the Impaler?
I met him once, yes.
He's a weird guy.
He's a lawyer, I think.
Is he?
Yeah, in real life.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Why?
Ivan the Sewer.
Huh?
Ivan the Sewer.
Who's that? Was that another wrestler?
I'm saying,
oh, okay. I get. The sewer. Okay, I get. I thought you were saying sewer. SEWER. I didn't understand it at all. Also coming to Rock Sports Network, live streaming of men's and women's high school lacrosse, which is starting up now. The snow is melting. A lot of the fields are being cleared already. We're going to have live streaming on our network, and a new podcast called Rock Baseball Weekly is coming up soon. Thank you to all our sponsors, Salvatore's, Rochester Lancers, the Razor Sharks, Mirage, Joey's Place, Rochester Sports and Physical Therapy, Dr. Brown Eye Care, and, of course, RockSportsNetwork.com. We're also available on LateNightSportsRadio.com Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. You can hear the replay exclusively there. Also, it'll be up on rocksportsnumber.com.
Don't forget to
on
check out
Tuesday.
our friends at Chamber Boys.
Chamber Boys. They are recording tonight right across the hallway. Check them out on YouTube. Search, YouTube and Facebook. Search Chamber Boys. Soccer Sam, this was a great pleasure. Thank you so
awesome.
much for coming in. I'm very grateful for you coming in.
Thanks for what you do.
Absolutely.
And thank you. A few years ago, you gave us these wonderful.
Oh yes,
Calvary
one of our
shirts.
sponsors, Leroy Discount Liquor. John wanted to thank you for the Calvary
thank you,
shirts.
and I want to thank
From-
you,
I
too.
still have mine as well.
I wear mine to every game.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Mark Sottile, thank you for joining us again.
Thanks for having me
And-
again, as usual.
All right, and guys,
As normal.
have a great Rock Sports Week.